Oh yeah, welcome to F.O.D. Overdrive, the podcast that keeps you up on your Friday nights. We're a three-man team that also has a weekly conservative terrestrial program from 3 to 5 p.m. on 94.9 News Now, WJJF on your FM dial in Connecticut, Long Island, and Rhode Island called FreedomOnDeck. To live stream the station and listen to our program, go to freedomondeck.com and click Listen Live, or listen to all of our back shows of Freedom on Deck and FOD Overdrive on the site. You can get daily updated news, contributions from Chet Martin, that's me, Lee Elsey from The Lee Elsey Show, Julio Rivera from The Reactionary Times, and Alex Newman from The New American. I'm Chet Martin, joined by Brian Bro. Brian, say hello.
Hey.
And CV Burton. CV, say hi.
Ready to rumble!
Listen, we've got a good show coming up for you. We're going to talk a little Bill Barr and what he's doing, investigating the investigators, right? We're going to be talking about Rashi Tlaib, who said that the Holocaust gives her a calming feeling because her ancestors helped save the Jews from the Nazis. Totally false. And what we're also going to be talking about is this abortion ban that has occurred in Alabama right now. I think this is a step closer to getting rid of Roe v. Wade, and we'll all weigh in on that. And at the very end of the show, we're going to have an interview with the wonderful Brigitte Gabriel from Act for America, and she's got the new book, Rise. She's been on Long Island. I actually did the interview a few days ago. We're promoting an event with her, but unfortunately this is going to air after that event, but she was able to do it on our station with Lee Elsey, and we just want to kind of promote her and her book and be able to tell you guys all about this. Now, gentlemen, Bill Barr has released the Kraken in the form of Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham, who will help examine the origins of the FBI investigation in Russian interference in the 2016 elections. Like that happened. The CIA is joining the fold. Director Gina Haskell, Director of National Intelligence Don Coates, and FBI Director Chris Wray, CV's favorite, are all joining in on this investigation. The investigation was launched over Republican concerns that the FBI's surveillance of Trump and his campaign was politically motivated. These concerns are supported by the FISA warrant created by Obama, obtained to surveil Trump and campaign national security advisor Carter Page, whose life was ruined. That was based on the information provided in the Crooked Steele dossier. Now, they're launching this investigation into the investigators, Brian, but I think more importantly, because we know all the dots that we've connected. We know how this all started with the dossier and the FISA courts being weaponized by Obama, and of course the help of the CIA and the corrupt FBI and the anti-Trump investigators that were involved here. But what are you looking for from all this? What kind of answers do you want? What's your biggest answer that you want? That biggest question that you want answered?
When is Hillary being sentenced to 30 years in jail? That's what that's what I want to know. That's the biggest answer that I want to know. When is Barack Obama going to do 30 years in jail? Because that's really what needs to happen here. You know, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter that it happens to be Donald Trump that they did this to. If it was Barack Obama that they did this to, if George W. Bush did this to Barack Obama, with Barack Obama coming in, it would be absolutely as atrocious as it is now. You know, this cannot happen in our country. We cannot have this happen. We cannot. The FBI is supposed to be the highest law enforcement agency in the land. And to have that agency be corrupted the way it was is disturbing, and it should concern everybody. not just, the people that are Trump supporters. It should concern everyone that the FBI was, infiltrated and compromised the way that it was, and allowed itself to be this partisan, tool for a certain party to carry out its bidding, so to speak. If the Republicans turned around and used the FBI to spy on a Democrat candidate, I mean, what do you think? Where do you think we would be right now?
CV, what do you think about Bill Barr? What do you think about this investigation? And do you think he will give you a good investigation that's going to come up with some dirt?
Well, I like his pick of Durham. I think Durham was the guy who went after the FBI for that whole mafioso thing in Boston. It sounds like he's almost, in a way, he's passing the buck to somebody else. So it's like, well, you can't criticize me. He's going to do the investigation. But I heard that Durham has been investigating this for a long time already. So he's already set to sink his teeth into this and come out with some results quickly, as opposed to Mueller, who took 2 years and came up with nothing.
Right.
Well, they almost have to. I would think that they almost have to come up with something quickly, because, nothing would be better than to drop this, somewhere around September of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Well, correct. And just to give everybody a background on Durham, he's 68. He was appointed by President Trump as U.S. attorney for Connecticut in 2018. But prior to being confirmed to that post, he had been tasked multiple times with investigating alleged misconduct by national security and law enforcement officials. Durham has conducted these sensitive investigations under administrations of both political parties. That's huge. What's critically important here is that he is independent and apolitical, and this is something that I'm trying to get her name here. Deirdre Daley said, okay, one of Durham's highest profile cases was in 1999 when former Attorney General Janet Reno, during former President Bill Clinton's administration, asked him to probe the FBI's handling of Boston mob boss Whitey Bulger. During that case, Durham helped to convict retired FBI agent John Conley Jr., who was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison on racketeering charges related to the relationship with Bulger. Now, that's really important, because don't forget, it was, and we know because we've had a certain individual on this show that has written a book about Bob Mueller and about Bob Mueller's corrupt past. And Bob Mueller helped Whitey Bulger get away with murder for a very long time.
Right.
So this guy means business. He's bare brass.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we
don't know is, Whitey Bulger got away for a long, long time. He went into hiding. I mean, how does somebody like him go into hiding unless you were in some sort of witness protection or something like that? So for him to disappear off the face of the earth and not get caught for so many years, nobody recognized him. I mean, he had a face that was unrecognizable. I mean, everybody knew who Whitey Bulger was. So that is a great question.
It is, and just so everybody knows, the book I'm talking about is Robert Mueller, Errand Boy for the New World Order by John Malkovich, who's also a senator. All right, we've had him on many times. And read that book. Read all the dirt that Robert Mueller has under his fingernails. You'll find it all there. CV, what is the biggest question about the Obama administration creating this dossier? Well, the DNC and Clinton created the dossier, but creating the weaponizing of these FISA courts for you. What do you expect to find out here?
What I assume is that this was Obama's MO all along. He has been spying on his enemies since very early on in his first administration, and so this wasn't anything unusual to be spying on Donald Trump. He was just going through the motions that he always went through. And I think that he had a lot of congressmen and senators compromised. I believe he weaponized the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, and all the intelligence agencies. So I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is bad enough spying on a presidential candidate, a president-elect, and a president. But it even goes further than that. He's been spying on everybody. And he's going to... I hope he faces the music. I hope they don't say, well, for the sake of, the American public, we're not gonna prosecute Obama because he was president of the United States. I don't think he was even a legitimate president. I think he wasn't born here. And I have good reason to say that, but I'm not going to get into all that now.
It's a good question, Brian. Is Bill Barr the guy to expose Barack Obama on all these misdeeds, or could he turn around and say, there's nothing to see here?
Oh, I definitely think Bill Barr is the man for the job. Listen, as much as they would love to destroy people, any chance that they can get, the Democrats, I don't think that they're going to have that ability with Bill Barr. Bill Barr, his record is impeccable. The man is just, he's got more character in his clipped toenail than Hillary Clinton does if she, lined up the entire DNC in one line. The guy's just flawless. And yeah, I think he has the set, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
go
the balls.
The cojones to take these people down. And I don't think he has any fear of Hillary Clinton. I don't think he's afraid to find himself in any closets with a belt around his neck. I don't think he's afraid of any barbells being on his throat in a weird gym accident. He doesn't strike me as the guy that goes to the gym much, but he's definitely the guy for the job, without a doubt.
Well, it's good what Brian was just talking about. I'm reading this from the Free Beacon, and this happened today. 2 days ago, actually. Attorney General William Barr asked Speaker Nancy Pelosi if she brought handcuffs for him. This was Wednesday at the Capitol, following her accusing him of lying to Congress early this month. According to multiple reporters, Barr approached Pelosi following the National Peace Officers Memorial Service in Washington, shook her hand, and asked, "Madam Speaker, did you bring your handcuffs?" Pelosi smiled and said the House Sergeant at Arms was present if an arrest was necessary, to which Barr laughed and walked away. Dude, that is like the ultimate troll of Pelosi. Yeah. That's pretty good.
And you want to know something? You know why she's laughing? Because she knows it's all bullshit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he knows it's bullshit. And that's what, that's what makes it so comical is both of them know it's bullshit.
Yeah, she was even on tape saying that they have a tactic of bullshit, of smearing people, and then leaking the smear to the media so that the media could smear them, and then they quote the media. It's like a roundabout way of justifying the smear in the first place. And that's exactly what they did to Donald Trump. They leaked the dossier to the New York Times, and then they used that the media reporting to justify the dossier. It's like a big circle jerk tactic.
It's a bullshit festival.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a shit fest.
It's a shit fest. Listen, we're going to go to a commercial break. All right, folks, are you getting frustrated with the trusted conservative sites and magazines turning left? Do you really want to read Bill Kristol? I don't. In the National Review, is the Weekly Standard supporting our president enough? I don't think so. Instead, go to thenewamerican.com and get your subscription to the New American magazine. Unfortunately, the 51% discount is no longer available on your yearly subscription. You missed it for both the magazine and online subscriptions. But hey, you can read pro-Trump, truly conservative contributors from our good friend to the show, Alex Newman, Bill Hahn, and so many others. Go to thenewamerican.com. And you know what, guys? I haven't seen if there's anything else up there that you can get a discount on, so don't quote me on that, but the 51% discount is over. There might be something else. There usually is over there. They're usually very good about this. All right, coming back to the show. Rashida Tlaib, or as Brian likes to call her, Rashi Tlaib, is up to her good old anti-Semitic tricks again, asserting in a recent podcast interview on Yahoo that the Holocaust brings a calming feeling to her when she thinks about what her ancestors did in sacrificing for the Jewish survivors. You know, guys, at first I was shocked, but I became angry when I thought about how she feels so untouchable that she could lie so bluntly and blatantly and feel that she can get away with it. What her ancestors did was participate in the murders and persecutions of Jews living in Israel. And yes, to me, it was always Israel, so don't tell me it wasn't. Her ancestors burned the Jews in Nablus, their families and neighbors burned alive by Muslims. Okay? Haj Amin el-Husseini, who was considered the father of Palestine, or the Palestinian nation, which never was. I mean, that's kind of like Hogwarts. Husseini wrote in great detail about how proud he was to be allies of Hitler and Himmler. I've sent this picture to CV. I'm going to have CV post a picture of Tlaib's ancestor, as she would call it, Amin el-Husseini, the Mufti from Jerusalem, pictured with Adolf Hitler. So this is the guy that she says saved the Jews in Jerusalem when that is not what happened. Now, I'm going to go to Brian first. This woman is clearly delusional. She feels she can say whatever she wants because after there was some backlash from President Trump and Republicans, she said, "You're not going to bully me into silence." Now, what she did here, Brian, was she took an example of something that was totally manufactured out of her part and put it into her own words, which is vile, disgusting, and even more than being anti-Semitic, it is just anti-humane. What she did was she excused Husseini from sitting with Adolf Hitler.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, she did just more than that. Let's face it. She's sitting here trying to pull the wool over the American people's eyes because a lot of people, I mean, keep in mind, and this is something that they realize too on their side, is that there's not too many people that are alive today who know who were a witness to what happened during World War II. Most of the people of World War II have long passed. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a few that are still alive, but for the most part, they're gone. And so she's trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. And for her to sit here and try to say, "Oh, I'm so glad that my people could provide that for the Israeli people, for the Jews," talking about the land that was given to them by the British, it's a bunch of bullshit, and she's lying, and it's disgusting, and I really wish that she would be a one-term congresswoman because. I just don't see how we can allow these type of people to legislate. I don't see how you can legislate when you hate a certain group of people. And I don't see how you could police when you hate a certain group of people. So I mean, no different than if you had an officer that was racist towards a certain sect of people. You wouldn't want that person policing certain areas, or even being on the force, I would think. So now here we have a congresswoman who, thinks that it's okay to say these horrific things about Jewish people and how the Jews are the reason for millions of Palestinian deaths and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, she goes on and on. So, yeah, I just think it's disgusting.
CV, what about this blatant anti-Semitism coming out of the Democrat Party?
Well, I don't think it's wishful thinking that she will not win re-election in 2 years. I think the people can see right through this. I don't think they're happy with this kind of polarizing language. And I would like to ask her, well, if the Palestinians are so great to Jewish people, why are there so many Palestinian suicide bombers blowing them to bits, including people from Long Island, college students who go over to Israel to visit and are blown up on buses to little pieces? Because, Islam is not necessarily the religion of peace. It sometimes is the religion of pieces.
Yeah, Dan Kildee, if I'm saying that right, Democrat from Michigan on Fox News, said she's not a hateful person. If you read Rep. Tlaib's comments, it is clear that President Trump and congressional Republicans are taking them out of context, said House Majority Leader. They must stop, and they owe her an apology. Now, they're trying to paint it out as the Republicans are painting her words as something she didn't say, right? Now, what she said was that her ancestors saved Jews when Hitler was trying to murder them. That's what people are offended by. Not that she said, I have a calming feeling when I think about the Holocaust. Because when she said that, what she was saying was, I have a calming feeling because my ancestors helped the Jews. You see, this is what they do. And when you question them, they paint it into something that it's not, and they paint you as the bad guys. And to me, that is just a bully tactic that they learned from the diversity trainers over here, Brian.
Oh, yeah. And, and it kind of goes back to what CV was saying about the schmear. When Pelosi was talking about how they smear people, I really think that they are being as aggressive as they could possibly be without blatantly breaking the law. You know what I'm saying? And using hate speech. You get what I'm saying? They know that they can't use hate speech, but they'll say things that are very, very inflammatory, very, very offensive, and to polarize this country even more. But I think it's going to be a big, big, big bomb that's going to blow up in their own face. You play with enough gunpowder, eventually, your luck's going to run out, and I think it's going to run out for Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats come 2020.
CV, I wanted to ask you this before we move on to the next topic. I heard there's over 90 Democrats running for either state reps or running for Congress or running for Senate or running for mayoral positions in the United States in 2020. What do you think about that?
I don't have any thoughts about that. Let's get closer to the election and let's see what we have and deal with the real threats. Because I was listening to Rush Limbaugh today, and he's going on and on and on about all the candidates that are running for the nomination. I mean, it's a little, to me, it's a little premature. I mean, I know that I know he's interested in it, like he's interested in football and sports, but I'm a little bit more pragmatic, and I'm not concerned about issues unless they're more immediate.
Okay. All right. Well, it concerns me that there are so many running. I mean, it's starting to look like Europe a little bit to me. That's why I'm asking, but I understand that.
I think it's great. I say it's 90 opportunities for them to lose.
I hope so. I hope you're right. And well, now they don't have Obama ushering in Somalis and all that to vote them in, and they tell us that illegals aren't voting, right? All right, word from the sponsors. Our new sponsors are a motorsports team. Midget Motorsports is a family-owned and operated NASCAR modified team based out of East Hampton, New York. You'll see them full-time at Riverhead Raceway around our area. Also part-time schedule in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Driver number 4, good old Corey Midget, who is the driver, entered full-body cars in the Charger division at Riverhead in 2012 and won Rookie of the Year and won a total of 4 races in 4 years. It's their 4th year in the modified division. The family, Brian Sr., Michael, Brian Jr., and Corey, rely on outside donations. If you're interested in helping this Trump-supporting race team, contact Brian Sr. at the number 516-236-8498, or you can go right to freedomondeck.com, and they have a little page right there where you can click on and get the information there. All profits go to Corey's ability to continue racing. You'll see the Freedom on Deck logo on the car this season in Connecticut and Long Island, along with their Trump sticker and flag. All right, guys, so this is a big one. We're talking about Alabama and what they're doing with signing a ban or a proposed ban into law over there for abortion. Okay, this has caught real fire, and this coincides with Georgia's heartbeat law right now and the bill. Alabama's Republican Governor Kay Ivey announced Wednesday that she had signed into law a bill that bans doctors from performing abortions during any stage of pregnancy, punishable by up to 99 years in prison. I think it goes 10 to 99 years. The legislation, which passed the state Senate on Tuesday, is the most restrictive abortion legislation in the country and is likely to be struck down by courts. Now, the sponsors of the bill said they hope that the court challenges would prompt the Supreme Court to revisit the landmark abortion decision, Roe v. Wade. Now, that is the part that is getting everybody fired up, right? I watched some of this on Wednesday unfold in the Alabama State House, and it got pretty fiery. And what they're worried about is that this will be revisited in the Supreme Court by Trump's nominees, right? Now, I don't know that that's going to go anywhere with Kavanaugh and Kennedy and Gorsuch. I don't know where they stand on all that. Brian, what do you think about this being passed, and what do you think about punishing doctors?
Well, listen, I mean, you're either for killing innocent human babies or you're against it. Bottom line, you know what I mean? You take a Hippocratical oath to save a human life, no matter what the race or gender or creed or religion or any of that other stuff, you know, when you become a doctor, but yet you that doesn't extend to an innocent life inside the womb. I mean, come on. Well, I mean, if anything's is hypocritical, that's hypocritical. You know, how about a child or a botched, you know, a child that is laying on a table from a botched abortion and no medical treatment is given to that child? That's hypocritical. That's going against the Hippocratic oath that these doctors have taken. I mean, give me a frickin' break. You know, so you're either for abortion or you're against it. If you're going to take the stand as a state and say, we do not want to be for this, we do not want to participate in this, we are outlawing this as a state. Hey, it's no different than Cuomo attacking the rights of the people in this state on gun legislation. You know? Now you have states that are attacking people's so-called right of abortion. Tit for tat. Hey, listen, either you come to the table and you have common sense legislation. Obviously, if mom is going to die in the hospital as a complication of a birth, that's a different story. That's a different story. And by doing so, it's going to save mom's life. That's a tough call.
Very rare. Very rare, by the way. Very rare.
Very rare. In the case of a rape, or something like that, where a woman is raped and becomes impregnated by her rapist.
Even rarer.
That's
even rarer.
No, but I understand, but regardless, there's certain things where we can say, look, I don't like it, but I understand it. I can sympathize with a human being who was violated by another human being and has that human being's child inside of them. I can understand where that would be even more detrimental to the victim of a rape or such an event. We can understand certain things. But unfortunately, most Democrats don't see any of that stuff when it comes to other rights of people in this country. So, for me, hey, if they're going to outlaw it, great. Let's bring it up. Let's get it back in the Supreme Court and let's knock it out of the park.
It's a good point Brian makes up, CV, because in this bill, it would stop women from being able to have an abortion from incest or rape. What do you think about that?
Well, first I want to say that Brian is 100% correct. It's a violation of the Hippocratic Oath that says the first rule is to do no harm. Physician do no harm. So, and also the other thing is my faith in humanity has been restored because I was taken by surprise by this. And, it's sort of like a backlash from when Governor Cuomo and that other governor, I forget what state that was in. We're talking about infanticide. Killing a baby that's like to term, which is horrendous. And then they celebrated.
You're talking about Virginia
and New York. Mm-hmm. And then in New York, they lit up the building in pink or something.
They lit up the Empire State Building in pink.
That's right. Thank you. That's disgusting. So my faith in humanity has been restored. And when it does go to the Supreme Court, I'm a little concerned about Kavanaugh because he's been voting with the lefties for the last couple of cases that came up.
Well, that's another issue is whether it could actually pass. And that's kind of what I was talking about. I think Kavanaugh will not sign on to this. No way. It's way too far right for him. Kennedy, we know, won't. Neil Gorsuch might, but it would even be tough for him. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead. So,
so she gets a double vote.
Don't tell her that.
Don't tell
her that. She gets a double vote.
Yeah.
The bottom line is this is a burning situation. And you know what ticks me off? I was watching Fox News and they had two, one was pro-life and one was, I'll call it pro-death. That's what I call it. And the pro-death panelist was talking about what Brian was talking about, rape and incest. And the numbers just don't match up. It's 1%, only 1% of women having these abortions are dealing with incest or rape or the mother may die on the table. It's not there. And even one of our morning show guy, Lee Elsey, he has a Doc Foley who comes on with him every Thursday. And he has experience with this. And he says, listen, the numbers for women that their life is in danger when they're giving birth is just so minute. It's not even a blip on the radar. And the problem I have is that the left they take the issue of, well, it could be rape or it could be incest or the woman's life could be in danger. But what about all the rest?
Yeah.
They don't address all the rest. You know,
you're talking about the 98% or 99% that are done out of pure convenience or just because, or just personal reasons. You're in a relationship with a guy that you really don't love or that you really don't like, or you're not married, or you're seeing some other guy, and whatever. I mean, it's there's a million and one reasons why a woman decides to do this, but like you're saying, it's less than 1% in the cases that we're talking about with rape, incest, or life-threatening
medical situation.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
you can't pass laws that are unconstitutional to the vast majority. In this case, the unborn child should be given the rights of any human being that exists, and in favor of a fraction of a percent of cases that involve rape or incest. It's absurd.
It is absurd. I think it's going to get really deep. This is going to be it's going to be a hot button topic. This would not be happening without President Trump. I want everybody to know that. He's the most pro-life president that we've ever had in the United States of America. No doubt about it. And I think his leadership has spurred this on, and I commend him for that.
Absolutely. And one last note that I want to make on this real quick is that, when somebody drinks and drives and crashes into a woman that's pregnant, and that woman dies, they charge that drunk driver with double homicide. Yeah. Or if you murder a woman that's pregnant, it's a double homicide.
Good point.
One thing that the Supreme Court is going to have to address in this is if it's not a life, then you can't charge any of these people with double homicide for drunk driving incidents or murder or any of that other stuff.
I believe that happened in New York with a case a few months ago where this dirtbag murdered a pregnant woman, and they couldn't prosecute him for 2 murders because of the laws that have been enacted in New York. You guys remember that, right?
No.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying that the Supreme Court is going to have to make that ruling. So it's either a life or it's not. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes. But what I'm saying is in New York right now, if you kill a pregnant woman, they can't charge you for 2 deaths.
Well, because they look at it. What was that one congressman that was like, oh, you either kill him now or you kill him later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He also said that Donald Trump Jr. should have been aborted as a baby.
Yeah.
Sick. These Democrats are sick. Listen, I'm going to go to one last commercial. After that, we are going to go to the interview with Brigitte Gabriel. The John Birch Society helped America elect President Reagan in 1980 and President Trump in 2016. They've rallied the conservative base for over 50 years. Go to jbs.org and join up and receive a good conservative group behind you. JBS has affiliates like the New American, American Opinion Foundation, Freedom Project Media, and Freedom Project Academy. Print membership is $87. Digital membership is only $47. Make sure you go to jbs.org, sign up, and get some good stuff over there. All right, guys, we have a good interview that I did earlier this week with Brigitte Gabriel, chairman for Act for America and author of Rise. And come and see us on Sunday, 949newsnow.com or freedomondeck.com, 3 to 5 on Sunday. You don't want to miss it. I'll talk to you guys later.
This truck needs a half tank. These wheels need a 2-lane. This radio needs 3 songs to play to get me across town to you.
Welcome back to Freedom on Deck on 94.9 News Now and Stimulating Talk, WJJF on your FM dial. Connecticut, Long Island, and Rhode Island. You're rocking with the best. Listen, folks, go to freedomondeck.com, see everything we have to offer there for you. Great contributors. You know, we have this one poster for the guests that we've had on the show, some of our all-time greats, all of them in front of the American flag, and one of them's on the phone with me right now. Returning to the program is a great hero of mine and a brave, patriotic woman, terrorism expert, and chairman at Act for America, the largest national security grassroots organization in the United States, and author of the new best-selling book, Rise, the one and only Brigitte Gabriel. Brigitte, the last time we spoke, Rise had just been released, so how has the book been received by your fans and followers?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you for having me back on the show. I'm so excited to be with you.
Thank you.
And then the book is having a lot of traction. It's a bestseller, and I'm so grateful for people who are hungry for this message. You know, the title of my book is Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom.
Yes.
Our American values that are under attack right now nationwide. The world is turned upside down right now, and Americans understand if you live anywhere between the East Coast and the left coast, in what the leftists refer to as flyover country, you understand that there's a major problem happening in our country. We are losing control of our country. And because of that, people are waking up, people are becoming more involved, more engaged, people are reading, they are hungry for information so they can know what to do, how can they be involved, and that's exactly what my book Rise provides, and that's why it's really finding a lot of traction with people, and I'm so grateful for that.
I wanted to tell you, one of our national guys during the week, Mike Gallagher, he has the Conservative Book Club, and they were talking about your book last week. So.
Oh, really? Wonderful.
Yes. They're discussing you and I believe Michael Savage's latest book. So that you guys were 1 and 2, respectively.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
So you're here on Long Island on Thursday. You're coming in for a speaking engagement, I believe, Brigitte. So what's the discussion? Where are you appearing for our listeners?
Wonderful. Well, you know, I'm coming to Long Island to speak to our chapter. You know, we have chapters nationwide. My organization, actforamerica.org. Actforamerica.org is our website. Act for America is now the largest national security grassroots organization in the country with over 1 million members. Our focus is protecting America from all threats, foreign and domestic. And so I'm coming to Long Island because I'm speaking about to our chapter and to our members on Long Island and anybody basically who wants to attend. You know, the event is free and open to the public. We encourage people to come because we want people to understand about what America is facing today, the threats to our national security. While we started as focusing on radical Islamic terrorism after 9/11, at that time, in 2001, 2002, MS-13 gang members were not roaming our streets the way they are now. Antifa did not exist. Black Lives Matter did not exist. However, today the situation in America is completely different. So I'm going to be discussing at my presentation the threats that we are facing today as a nation, whether it's MS-13 gang members roaming our streets. And it's going to be an important topic, especially in Long Island, because as you know, Long Island has become a hub to MS-13 gang members.
Yes.
And so that's what we're going to be talking about.
It's terrible what's going on. And where is the speaking engagement? Where will this be located? Where do people look for tickets or whatever?
Actually, it's going to be in Huntington, at the Hilton Huntington, and it's free and open to the public, but people have to register in order to attend. They need to go to actforamerica.org/Long Island. So ACT, A-C-T, for F-O-R, America.org/Long Island in order to obtain tickets. And I encourage everyone listening, go register, get tickets to your friends. We want to make sure, bring as many people as you can with you, but you have to register them. Registration stops on Wednesday at noon. So we need people to come out. We need people to support this event. It's already jam-packed. We are so excited. We're having already great turnout. So make sure you get your ticket. I would love to see you there.
Brigitte, the MS-13 street gang has infiltrated Brentwood, Long Island and resulted in way too many young people's lives being taken. How are these illegal gang members from El Salvador and Guatemala and Mexico being relocated to Long Island?
Well, here's what's happened. They are attracted. They are sneaking through the Mexican border, and this is exactly why President Trump, in order to secure the nation, understands the problem with the Mexican border. It's not just little poor people coming here to work because they're seeking better life. It's the gang members, the dangerous gang members and thugs who are coming through the border. And they're not staying in the border states. They're not staying in Texas, California, New Mexico, etc. What they're doing is they are making their way over to the big cities. They're going to the East Coast and the West Coast and all the major cities across the country. But they are going, in particular, they are attracted to areas where they already have a community of people from El Salvador, where they come from. Originally, the majority of them are from El Salvador. So because Long Island has a big concentration of people from El Salvador, they are coming to that area and they are blending in because they already have a support system. They already have associate brothers in the gang, as they say, a soul brother type thing in the gangs that can take them under their wings, that can support them, that can give them homes, basically get them established in the United States. So they're not on their own. And the reason why they are attracted to the major cities is because they know the major cities are usually lefties. We know that all mayors in major cities are to the left.
Right.
And usually major cities do not like the Second Amendment. Their people are not armed. This is exactly why these guys are not going to the rural communities where they most likely will encounter somebody who literally will shoot them if they break into somebody's house or they would kill somebody. Because the average American carries a weapon, in flyover country. But when you go to Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, Long Island, New York, there are very lax gun regulations, and most people are not armed and they are anti-gun. So it is fertile ground for a gang as violent as MS-13 and as ruthless as MS-13 to know that they are going to be able to carry their monstrous attacks against civilians who are most likely will not be armed and will not be able to defend themselves, which gives MS-13 gang members the prominence and the stature, the bad stature, the good stature in the eyes of the gang members as, wow, look how bloody they are, look how good they are, because the worse you are as a human being, the more glamorized you are in the gang community.
Yep.
And so that's why they love that area.
They don't want to come to my house, Brigitte. I'll tell you that. We have Brigitte Gabriel on the line, chairman of Act for America and author of Rise. She's going to be at the Huntington Hilton on Thursday. Make sure you go to actforamerica.com and sign up. Are they sent to family that they may have here that are part of the reason they're making it to Long Island? Because we are a sanctuary county. Both the Nassau and Suffolk are actually sanctuary counties, Brigitte. Is that also what's happening?
Exactly. They are gravitating to sanctuary cities because, look, I mean, they already have seen the news, what's happening, for example, in major lefty cities. Look at California. Basically, the leadership, the elected leadership, sided with the MS-13 gang members against ICE, who was arresting the MS-13 gang members and getting them out. So when you have leadership siding with the gang members who are killing their citizens instead of siding with the citizens that elected them, the primary responsibility for any elected official in the United States is to protect the people of the United States and to protect the country. Their job is not to protect the criminals and the thugs, and especially the foreign agents who are coming into our country and killing the civilians, the innocent citizens. And so this is why they gravitate towards sanctuary cities again. Leftist-controlled sanctuary cities who they know that the leadership, the elected officials are going to side, if it comes down to it, they're going to side with the MS-13 gang members against their own citizens. So that's the appeal. That's why they go there.
Brigitte, last week, the story of this terrorist compound that was raided in Alabama, it was greatly disregarded by the media. Last year, there was one in New Mexico and was raided, and somehow the facility got taken down, and I still scratch my head about that. But anyway, they seem like they were eerily similar. How many terrorist training facilities are located in these here United States?
Well, we estimate around 42 to 43. We know that the FBI knows of and is monitoring about 22 of them nationwide. And so, they are like terrorist compounds. They belong to Jamaat al-Fukra. There's one famous compound, actually, that was established years ago in Islamburg. So those who are listening to us,
yep.
Up there in your area, they're pretty probably have already heard about Islamburg. So the phenomena of setting up these compounds in rural communities and practicing in the woods, shooting and kind of like a paramilitary training, you guys have heard about that.
Sure.
But a lot of people in the rest of the country who may not be as familiar with them are waking up to realize they are in their communities. I mean, a lot of people think Alabama. I mean, you cannot get any more southern, nice people, than Alabama. And you think, how can a compound like this exist? But it does exist because people in these type of communities, like and the Midwest and in the heartland, they do not want to bother people. Remember, it's open land. It's not unusual to somebody have a dirt road leading, and then there's like a little, a trailer or a little compound at the end of the dirt road that nobody even bothers going down because they know, a lot of people live like that. And it's not unusual to hear, gunshots, people hunting in the woods, etc. But what's been happening is, thankfully, a lot of people are opening their eyes, and usually they call the FBI with a tip if they notice suspicious activity in those locations, and that's how they're blowing the whistles on these type of compounds.
Brigitte, Bernie Sanders appeared in a town hall on CNN and actually made the statement that the Boston Marathon bomber should have the right to vote. Hearing that was shocking. What's your position on the left's radical agenda with these 2020 candidates?
Well, look, America is at a crossroad. I mean, the choice could not have been clearer, cannot be any clearer. When you look at how the Democratic people who are running, the Democrats who are running for office on the left are talking. I mean, we were just talking about MS-13 gang members. Is it any wonder why the thugs and the criminals and the gang members and the terrorists know that people on the left side, elected officials and those who are vying for the highest office in the land, will basically side with the criminals instead of siding with the American people. So when you have people like Bernie Sanders saying that criminals should have the right to vote, including the Boston bombers, you scratch your head and you think to yourself, how did we get to the day when we have a hopeful, a person running for the President of the United States position, the highest position in the land, actually uttering the word that criminals and terrorists should have the right to vote just like any American. Those are the people that try to kill Americans. They despise us. They despise our country. They want to see the overthrow of our democracy. Yet somebody like Bernie Sanders running for president wants to give them right. The choice is very clear right now in this upcoming election. If you want to protect the United States, if you want to stand up for the flag, if you want to stand with our police officers, if you want to honor the military, if you want secure border, the choice is clear as to what party and what group is going to be able to stand and defend the country, and what party or what group is going to literally sell the American people and protect the MS-13 gang members, the criminals, the drug dealers, the terrorists, even those who kill American lives.
Unbelievable. We have Brigitte.
Exactly. And this is why I encourage people to come hear me in Long Island. The information that I'm going to share is going to be shocking. It's important for people to understand what's happening and why we need to rise in defense of our American freedom. You need to get tickets in order for you to come. It's a free event. You're welcome. We want you to come and bring as many people as you can, but you have to register. Go to actforamerica.org/Long Island to get tickets. The deadline, the cutoff is Wednesday at noon. Make sure you get tickets and you register before Wednesday at noon.
I wanted to ask you before you get going, and we have Brigitte Gabriel on the line, chairman of Act for America and author of the hit Rise. Get the book. I'm telling you, it's a great book. I've read it myself. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib recently made some very vile comments about the Holocaust. I'm not going to repeat it on the airways because it's disgusting. Ilhan Omar repeatedly makes disgusting accusations against Israel and America. And, you know, we'll never forget some people did something. How dangerous are these congresswomen, Brigitte?
They are very dangerous because right now they are literally, it's like the tail wagging the dog. It's they who are driving the agenda for the Democratic Party. It's them and Ocasio-Cortez. So when you see people like that actually Nancy Pelosi fears because they have the followers on social media, they are the ones who are dominating the news. It's not Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi doesn't have the followers that they have. I mean, look, Ilhan Omar is raising more money than a lot of the leaders of the Democratic Party. The same goes for Ocasio-Cortez. And they are raising money. They have 4 million. I mean, look, Cortez has 4 million followers on Instagram. 4 million.
What? Yeah.
I mean, the numbers that you hear are just unbelievable. What person in the Democratic leadership, whether it's Schumer, whether it's Pelosi, have even close to these numbers? They don't. And that's why the leadership of the Democratic Party is under the mercy of these young, radical, emotional, hateful, bigoted, young elected leaders who are now basically spewing their hate across the airwaves, and especially their anti-Semitism. I mean, when you look at what comes out of Tlaib's mouth and what comes out of Ilhan Omar's mouth, you shake your head in amazement that actually the Democratic Party, and especially the Jewish community, which 80% votes Democrat and give their money to the Democratic Party, 80% of the Jewish community are now seeing the result of where their money is going, what their money has elected, and they better wake up now before it's too late.
Absolutely. Brigitte, tell everybody where they go again to get those to be able to attend your event again, please.
People can go to our website, actforamerica.org/Long Island. You have to make sure you go to the website, actforamerica.org/Long Island in order for you to register to come on Wednesday. I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to meeting as many of you who can come. Bring a friend. It's important that we all come together, understand the problem, and together we can work to rise up to defend our country.
Everybody, that was the awesome, wonderful Brigitte Gabriel, chairman of Act for America. Get the new book, Rise, and go see her at the Hilton on Thursday. You're not going to regret it.
Friday night we'll be drinking Manischewitz, going out to terrorize Goyam. Stop and shake it, screwing chicks as long as we're home by Saturday morning.